I'm Nikki Moore, author by the sea. I live in beautiful Dorset and I'm published by HarperCollins, most notably the popular Love London series. I'm also going to be published as Ella Allbright later this year. The Charm Bracelet, as you can see behind me, which is an epic love story set in Dorset. Thanks for joining me on the vlog today, and I really appreciate all the support I've had for the cover reveal of the Charm Bracelet and all the lovely reviews I've received on NetGalley for it, so that's been amazing, so thank you. You know that I do these vlogs in order to try and help aspiring authors or authors that feel that, you know, they're not entirely there yet, they've got something to learn. And actually I still count myself as one of those. I was offered my first publishing contract in about 2013 and I was first published in 2014. And it's now 2020, but you know, by all means, I don't feel like I'm the finished product. I feel like I'm learning something every single day. So you know, we all have a lot to learn and we should strive to keep on learning. Today's vlog is more about the craft of writing and getting published. You know, often these vlogs are about something that's trending or that's topical. I've been talking to a couple of aspiring authors over the last week or so about their manuscripts. And one thing that really struck me, and one thing that I know I struggled with when I was starting out, was that it's about the need to make or create a great opening chapter. Obviously, when we want to get published, the book has to be strong as an entirety. You know, it has to have the right structure, it has to have the right pace, the right characterizations, you know, the right points of view. So the book has to be strong as a whole. However, in terms of trying to get that first contract, you know, that first publishing deal, when you're subbing to publishers or to literary agents, it's really important to have a really kind of grabby first opening chapter. Of course, things like having an exciting cover letter, you know, setting out your experience and what the book is about, the kind of genre it's in, and maybe who you write like, is really important, and having a clear synopsis so that the publisher or agent knows, you know, the whole kind of story arc and what's going to happen to all the characters and how you're going to wrap up the ending. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be sending off the first 3 chapters when you submit, and the agent or publisher really needs to know with great confidence that, you know, actually you can finish the book, that, you know, the book lives as an entity. So those things are really important, but you don't get that, you know, what's that saying, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. Well, the first impression that that agent or publisher will have of your writing, and in terms of looking for something that is, you know, high quality, that's attention grabbing, that's publishable standard, is going to be that opening chapter. You know, the first 3 really important, but that opening chapter, you know, right down to the opening line or the first paragraph, it's so important and absolutely crucial that it is as strong as it possibly can be. And not just because you want to get a publishing contract, it's because, you know, when and if you have that book published, you need to make sure that, you know, a reader walks into a bookshop or is looking at a sample online and that first page grabs them. You know, a lot of readers, and I do this, you know, go into a bookshop or a retailer, we read the blurb on the back, we look at the cover, we open the front pages and we have a look at that first page. And we know from that first page the voice of the author, you know, what the narrative's going to be like, which character's head we're going to be inside first, or, you know, throughout the whole book. So that first page is really important, but, you know, opening chapters are absolutely vital. So some of the things to think about in terms of opening chapters, there's a number of things. So tip number 1, don't clog it with lots of backstory. So your opening chapter should really start as close to the point of action or the point of change as possible. So, you know, in any great opening chapter, a character's life is about to change, or something bad's going to happen or something good is going to happen, but something is going to happen. The reader and the agent and the publisher are looking for action. They're looking for something to grab hold of. So if you clog up that opening chapter with narrative about the weather or overdone description, or actually most commonly you're trying to wedge all of the backstory of that character into that chapter, it's going to become kind of dull and weighty and you're going to turn people off. So think carefully about where you start your book. Where does the story start? And it was described to me once in terms of, imagine that your book is like a house and someone is opening the front door and they're going to move through the hallway. Now, as they're walking down the hallway, that is kind of your opening chapter. You want to give them a reason to get down that hallway and to open the door into the lounge and to go into the lounge and explore all of the other rooms in the book. Rooms in the house, chapters in the book. So that hallway needs to be as uncluttered as possible. You don't want to put obstacles in the way of your reader. You don't want to be pulling, leaving trainers and shoes all over the floor and coats on the floor and boxes of junk. You want to make that hallway an easy space for that reader to walk down. You want to make it easy for them to read. So think really carefully about where you start the story and not clogging up with lots of stuff. You want to kind of clear that hallway out. So what many authors do, and what I myself have done, is you kind of write yourself into the book. So you're finding your feet and you're getting to know your character and you kind of, setting them up for this happens here and this happens here because this is where the story starts, it's going to happen here. And you write your way into the story, and actually you don't need all of that clutter. And there are some things in there that might be important, but you can kind of sprinkle them through the rest of the book, further on in the story. Just remember that if anyone ever gives you advice to cut because the beginning is feeling weighty, it pays you to listen, and you can cut that out and you can copy and paste it into a different file somewhere. And I always think that that the writing you do is never lost, because you can always use it later in the book, or even actually could use something from a scene in a different book entirely. You can adapt it to some different characters. I had to cut, so the book I'm writing now, I've been writing on and off for about 9 or 10 years. And during that time I published 3 short stories, 5 novellas, 2 novels, got the Charm Bracelet coming, and then I've got this one I'm working on now. So it's been it's been a labour of love, and I've been working on it for a long time, and I keep putting it aside and coming back to it. When I first wrote it years ago, I had some consistent feedback from a number of readers that for the first 30,000 or 40,000 years it was just like, didn't do anything, it was just getting to know the characters. So I cut 40,000 words. At the time it was incredibly painful, but when I look back at it now, and I can see the story clearly, it was the right thing to do. So disheartening, but sometimes you have to make those kinds of decisions. The other thing to think about in terms of your opening is, which characters, it depends if you've got a dual narrative or if you're going to have one person telling the story. But if you've got a dual narrative, which person are you going to start with? Which character has got the strongest voice? If you're doing a single narrative perspective, it's really important that you pin that voice straight away, that you absolutely know it, that it's authentic, and you're going to draw the reader in. So think carefully about the character, what are they going to be doing and saying in that first opening, and have you got the right character speaking, the person with the strongest voice. The other thing is another tip is about hooks. So a lot of agents and publishers, they're looking for something really commercial. They're looking for a hook that is attention grabbing, that's immediately going to hook them in and therefore hook potential readers in. Your hook might be about the way that your book is structured. So, Bridget Jones's Diary is obviously diary entries. It might be about a structure of, the story being told backwards and then up to present day, or whatever it might be. It could be structural. It could be something to do with the characters themselves. It could be that it's fan fiction. But if you've got something hooky, some kind of device, you want to get that right in the opening chapter and make it really clear what that is. So with the Charm Bracelet, obviously the hook is the Charm Bracelet. Charm bracelets mean a lot to people normally. They've got great sentimental value, and they are normally a way of reminding us of events and significant moments or memories in our lives. And many people have their charm bracelets throughout their lifetime and they get added on to. So, with the Charm Bracelet we had a really strong hook in that way, and therefore the opening of this book is I have an advert because Lila has lost her charm bracelet and she's looking for it. And then I have Lila sending Caitlin, who has found her bracelet, a letter which opens up the story, and she talks about how she's going to detail every charm on that bracelet in order to prove to Caitlin that the bracelet is actually hers, that she is genuinely the owner, because Lila really wants her bracelet back. So that just gives you a flavour, but you know, you've got the strong concept. So make sure you have something hooky if you can in the opening chapter. And the other thing to think about, another tip, is around a really strong opening line. Something that captures the reader's attention, something that gives a flavour of what the book is about, something that introduces the voice of that character really strongly. You know, I love opening lines that are intriguing. There was one I heard recently, and I'm rereading the book soon, but it's basically about, you know, someone being on a train at a certain time, but actually it's their ashes. And straight away, you know, you have this feeling of, well, who is this person? You know, why are there ashes on a train at this time of day? You know, who are the ashes with? What happened to them? So, you know, that's an example of a kind of a catchy opening line. But, you know, it is really, really important that opening line is really strong, because it's the first thing that people are going to see. I hope that's been useful. It feels a bit shorter and sweeter than usual, but I can see I'm running at 11 minutes, so maybe not. So, you know, writing is a craft. It's a lot of hard work, and it's really important that you put that hard work into it so that you can get the result that you want. But I hope you found those tips useful. Thanks for tuning in. Please do find me on Twitter. Please do, you know, share this vlog, tweet about it, share on Facebook. I really appreciate the support. Take care of yourselves and have a great week. Bye.